What if I told you carrier pigeons did not know who they were delivering letters to? They weren't reading names. They weren't checking addresses. They weren't thinking, yes, General Smith, third tent on the left. So how did a pigeon with a tiny message strapped to its leg deliver information across battlefields, cities, and even countries? The answer is much stranger than bird mailman. Most people imagine carrier pigeons like tiny postal workers. You attach a message, and somehow the bird finds the exact person it is meant for. It's charming, but completely wrong. A carrier pigeon did not know it carried secrets, news, love letters, or urgent snack requests. To the pigeon, this was not a delivery mission. It was just trying to go home. Carrier pigeons did not fly to the recipient. They flew back to their home loft. That was their superpower, homing. A pigeon trained in one loft develops a strong attachment to that place. Move it far away, release it, and it usually tries to return. The address was not written on the letter. It was built into the bird. Think of a carrier pigeon less like a mail carrier and more like a living boomerang with wings. So how did it work? People raised pigeons in a specific home loft, say Paris. Then humans carried those pigeons away from Paris to an army camp, ship, remote town, or battlefield. The pigeons did not travel there by themselves. Humans carried them in cages or baskets. When someone needed to send a message back to Paris, they wrote it on tiny paper, rolled it up, and attached it to the pigeon's leg or back. Then the pigeon was released. And the pigeon basically thought, absolutely not, I am going home. So it flew back to its Paris loft, where someone collected the message. To send messages the opposite way, people needed pigeons whose home loft was at the other end. So pigeon communication was usually one way, unless both sides had each other's pigeons. Pigeons did not go to addresses. They returned to homes. But that raises an even bigger question. How do pigeons find home from places they may have never seen before? Scientists are still studying this, but pigeons seem to use several tools at once. First, they can sense Earth's magnetic field, almost like they have a built-in compass. Second, pigeons use the sun. By combining the sun's position with their internal body clock, they can figure out direction. Basically, they are doing sky geometry while we are still trying to remember where we parked. Third, they use landmarks like roads, rivers, coastlines, buildings, and other visual clues. Fourth, smell may help too. Some experiments suggest pigeons create an odor map using scents carried by the wind. So their navigation system might be part compass, part clock, part map, and part nose. Which is honestly better than some phone GPS apps. Before modern technology, this was revolutionary. Before phones, radios, satellites, and the internet, fast long-distance messages were hard. A rider could be delayed. A runner could get lost. A telegraph wire could be cut. A messenger could be captured. But a pigeon could fly over rivers, trenches, broken roads, enemy lines, and chaos. Armies used pigeons for battlefield reports. Traders used them for financial information. Newspapers used them for news. Ordinary people used them when speed mattered. They were fast, quiet, hard to intercept, and surprisingly reliable. For centuries, pigeons were not just birds. They were living communication technology. One famous carrier pigeon was Cher Ami, meaning dear friend in French. During World War I, American soldiers known as the Lost Battalion were trapped behind enemy lines. Worse, their own side began accidentally firing on them. They desperately needed to send a message, so Cher Ami was released carrying their plea for help. According to the famous account, Cher Ami flew through gunfire, was badly injured, and still delivered the message. Cher Ami is credited with helping save nearly 200 soldiers. A tiny bird, carrying a tiny note, changed real lives. Not because it understood the war, not because it knew the soldiers, but because it knew one thing with incredible determination: home. So, how did carrier pigeons know who to deliver letters to? They didn't. They weren't flying to people. They weren't reading addresses. They weren't tiny postal employees with feathers and excellent customer service. They were flying home. Humans built a messaging system around one of nature's most fascinating instincts, a bird's powerful desire to return to the place it belongs. Maybe that is the most amazing part. One of the earliest wireless communication systems was not built with towers, satellites, or the internet. It was built with trust, training, and pigeons who really, really wanted to go home.